Someone who's been through that and who's been able to bring a company out, I think that is going to be a lot, principally the leadership that we're going to want to invest into, because really what you're investing into in venture is people.
Yeah.
You know, and people get too involved in the idea, and they've been watching too much Shark Tank, and they think that anybody can turn a belt into $1 billion idea. And, you know,
I hate that show.
everybody does in this, everybody does it because it's so disingenuous to the system and
But
how it actually
here's something.
works.
When choosing your investors, when choosing your investment advisory board, do not give them equity right off the bat.
No,
Vest them over a period of time. I do cliff vesting over 3 to 4 years, just to make sure that they are working at least for 3 years dedicated to what we're working on. If they want equity, if they just want to be paid, then I'll treat them like any other consultant in the world, and that's that.
yeah, I mean, I've been awarded options, and you know, they vest over 2 years, so I would agree with you on that.
Give me some equity.
No.
I think that's very helpful, and I think that's what she was getting at. She did clarify a little bit that she was talking about early stage company.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
A lot of
Not every dollar is a good dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where she's coming from, is she may have an early stage company and wants to know how she can stand out when she's raising money.
That's a great question.
That's the
Yeah.
Christine girl. You had an
Yes.
ex-girlfriend named Christine, so I got scared. Yeah, but she was listening.
Oh, boy, that's just gonna ruin the whole night.
I spent a lot of time together.
Hey, George, I have another question.
Not X, stop.
There's gonna be more opportunities of like a recession, like probably Wall Street will be laying off more people next year,
Yeah.
so there'll be less coverage in different industries. Do you feel there'll be a lot of more opportunities for guys like you who are looking at deals?
I
maybe
think
bigger
so.
deals,
I
maybe
think-
better price deals.
I think what's gonna happen is that a lot of the investment banks are just gonna get rid of it. There's gonna be a brain drain somehow. All these people are gonna be left out there in the market, and people are gonna be like, who's still standing? The people who ran their own balance sheet, the ones who've been careful about it, and it's gonna gravitate towards that. And I think what you're going to start to see are cabals of influence, just like anything else, where people come together and they've pooled up and just wrapped up and do these deals together. I think also that it was the families that were the original venture investors going back to the 1600s, and they're going to be the ones today that'll probably prove to show some resilience financially when dark things happen in commercial real estate. Let's face it, we've had 375 basis points over the past not even year, 8 months. Last time that happened was 94. Look at what happened then.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
there's-
we look at recessions as
Yeah.
opportunities to invest, buy really cheap. Anything that is synergistical with our existing corporations will buy.
Hey, Marco, you invest internationally and the recession is far worse
Yeah,
outside the United States. You know, I mean, you look at Europe, it must be fantastic asset acquisition opportunities in Europe right now
Mhm.
coming up, right? So.
Yeah, so another company that we're buying into, we're getting into mining, and we didn't do mining for maybe 50 years. Seeing the trends of the whole automobile industry, which we're involved in, lithium is really something that everybody's talking about. So in Portugal, northern Portugal, we bought a company that is going to be exploiting in the mining sector for lithium, because Europe is claiming and wants to be independent of what China has done to the rest of the world with lithium.
Sure.
For batteries. So anything related to batteries, systems for the sector, for the EV sector, especially, where by 2035 in Europe alone, we're expecting 135 EVs, but nobody's asking the question, where are these vehicles being produced?
So the manganese, the cobalt, all those material science.
Yeah, so going back to chemistry 101, when you look at the list of vertical of families, and this is how you have to become an expert,
Yeah.
right? Your metals that are conduits of electricity have different capacities. So you have to look at what those elements are, where they're being produced, and how they can be optimized. Magnesium is definitely one that could be potentially a source rather than lithium.
Also mining in Africa.
Right, where the lithium has become such an issue. Everything has gone up. Supply lines are slow. Our raw material is 30, 40, 50% up, and it's not going to come down. If you're thinking that's going to go down, there's no way. Cargo, shipping, freight, everything has gone up. And anybody that I know in that business, as a friend, I've asked them even, are you ever going to lower your price? And then they're looking at me like, are you nuts?
Why?
No, everybody's willing to pay these prices. So it's just the market reset itself. to a higher standard or more expensive. So the opportunities are there, right?
Fascinating.
Yes, George.
Okay, so that's very helpful.
I do that. I do that.
No, I'm glad you did. Where in the world is lithium mined? Just
Yeah,
curious.
I said Portugal, northern Portugal is
Oh,
where
so
we
that-
are. And
Yeah,
it's actually, we have a London-based company. Peter is there. Savannah Resources is what we're called. And we're right now probably the leading company exploiting lithium in Europe.
I didn't realize
There's a
that.
lot in China and there's a lot in Africa as
Argentina.
well.
South
They are,
America.
but I'm not touching that because my market is Europe and the US, and I know the US also has this issue. Mexico, it's also another source. But you know, the name of the game is you have the money, you pay for it, and then that's how it goes. But there's a lot of government influence where
Right.
our family's name can play a big role as long as our money, right? And that's what the family brand equity that I was talking about plays a big game.
Are you guys looking at blockchain or fintech? I know obviously crypto's had a very hard fall recently, but there are other technologies.
But blockchain, so just to be clear, blockchain is a program that allows you to have better cybersecurity
Yeah, I mean,
system in place.
Well,
Right.
and for example, tokenizing real estate interests, giving fractional interest through the blockchain.
We are, so through the telecom company, we have our own crypto reward system that we're going to be promoting anything that we're producing today. So we're producing motorcycles, bicycles, scooters. We're going to have a car in the market that will be competing with Tesla and Lucid at a higher level, made in Italy. So it has a whole different connotation. I would like for that to become the ecosystem within telecom. So how we're going to push that is to our users that are already connected to our satellite systems. So in our case, we have I think we have 500,000 users right now and ramping up. And this is one of the reasons that we bought this telecom company, because telecom right now is in two different ways you can look at it. Whether you own satellites, which needs to be updated constantly through technology, or you have antennas that are creating the 5G, 6G, 7Gs of the world. And in this company, we have both. So it's extremely important to put your hands and position yourself within telecommunications, because this is the way the world communicates today through any devices or any type of net or
Right.
Wi-Fi connection.
Right,
So
right.
this is how you get to your clients.
Right. So as far as just switching gears a little bit, how important is ESG? And I know that's
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I know
All
that-
right. Thank you very much for coming.
Bye, thank you guys.
We'll be at the bar later for dinner.
but do you see your families thinking about that at all or not really?
Yes, of course. I mean, from my perspective, I have my son here who's the fifth generation, and I tell him the same story. You know, guy walks down the beach with his son, sees all these starfish dead on the shore, and the son starts throwing them back in the water, and the father says to the kid, "What the hell are you doing? They're all dead. You're not gonna do anything." And the kid says, "Well, I'm not gonna make a difference to all of them, but just to the ones that I'm throwing back in the water." So the way we look at it is that's how we put our grain of salt in the system. I'm not necessarily the ESG king of the world, and I will never call myself that, but maybe I would influence some people to do the same, and that's the way we should all look at it.
Our investors are more interested in impact, meaning, you know, we invested in Tom's company. How many millions of lives can they brag to their friends about that they've impacted post IPO?
Like nightclubs.
Yes, things like that, you know,
Nightclubs. That's impacting.
but that's impact. As far as ESG, you know, I mean this with all due respect, it seems to be a very politically polarizing thing, especially with families in Southern California that we deal with and in the Southwest, which tend to run more red. ESG is not something of principal concern to them.
Yeah, have a foundation that you can throw money into to build
Right,
homes for
right.
a bunch of people. We do that.
Yeah,
things
I
like
think, you know, I think, you know, sustainably being impactful is really what these families are looking for.
Yeah.
Not the tickle list. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So George, if I jumped in, a couple of things, comments I'd make. First
Sure.
of all, look, I've been